Cheap gas does not instantly kill an engine. What it does is measurably documented, and the measurement comes from the American Automobile Association. After 4,000 miles of normal driving, engines running low-quality fuel accumulated 19 times more deposits on their intake valves than engines running quality fuel at the exact same octane rating. 19 times. Not 19% more, 19 times more. That single number from the association's study is the reason mechanics who understand fuel chemistry do not treat this as a minor concern. And the part of that number most drivers have never been told is what the quality distinction actually is, because it has nothing to do with whether you chose regular or premium at the pump. Here is what cheap gas actually is, and it is not what most people think. For a vehicle that specifies regular 87 octane, using regular 87 octane is correct. Consumer Reports has tested this question directly, and their finding is consistent. Premium gasoline produces no measurable benefit in fuel economy, performance, or engine longevity in an engine that the manufacturer specifies for regular. Paying for premium in a regular spec car is wasted money, full stop. The cheap gas problem for most drivers is not about octane rating at all. It is about something most drivers have never heard of: top-tier detergent certification. The Federal Environmental Protection Agency sets a minimum requirement for detergent additives in all gasoline sold in the United States. That minimum is a legal floor, not a performance standard. Major automakers Toyota, Honda, BMW, General Motors, and Ford determined independently that the EPA minimum detergent level is insufficient to protect modern, tighter tolerance engines from deposit buildup over time. They created a separate standard called top-tier gasoline, which requires licensed fuel retailers to include significantly higher concentrations of specific detergent additives in every grade of fuel they sell: regular, mid-grade, and premium. The licensed top-tier brands include Shell, Chevron, BP, Exxon, Mobil, and Costco, among others. Stations that are not top-tier certified sell fuel that meets the federal legal minimum, but does not meet the higher standard that Toyota, Honda, and BMW said their engines require. That is what cheap gas is. Not wrong octane. Low detergent. And the AAA study quantified exactly what that distinction costs your engine. The 19 times number deserves to be understood fully. An engine running non-top-tier gasoline, legal fuel, and the correct octane for the vehicle, meeting every federal requirement, accumulated 19 times more deposits on intake valves than an engine running top-tier fuel at the same octane rating. This comparison was measured over the equivalent of 4,000 miles of driving. On fuel injectors, the same study found 3 times more deposit buildup from non-top-tier fuel over the same distance. Those are not numbers that describe minor cosmetic differences inside the engine. Intake valve deposits reduce the amount of air that can enter the combustion chamber. Fuel injector deposits disrupt the spray pattern that delivers fuel to be burned. Both effects contribute to incomplete combustion, cycles where the fuel does not fully burn before the exhaust stroke clears the chamber. The AAA study also found something that changes the financial calculation most drivers are making. Aftermarket fuel system cleaner additives, the bottles at the auto parts counter that promise to clean your fuel injectors and intake valves, are significantly less effective at removing non-top-tier deposit buildup than simply using top-tier fuel in the first place. The accumulated cost of buying those cleaners to compensate for months of non-top-tier fuel can exceed the price difference between the two fuel grades over the same miles. The math that makes cheap gas feel like a saving at the pump does not hold when the remediation side of the ledger is included. Now here's the part that most videos about fuel quality skip entirely, and it is the part that connects directly to every oil change decision you have ever made. Every deposit on an intake valve or fuel injector is a site of incomplete combustion. Incomplete combustion does not just reduce power and fuel economy. It produces a category of byproducts called blowby gases, combustion residue, and unburned fuel vapor that pass through the gaps in the piston ring system and enter the engine crankcase rather than exit through the exhaust. Those blowby gases do not stay in the crankcase as gas. They mix with the engine oil. The chain is direct. Low detergent fuel produces more intake valve deposits. More deposits cause more incomplete combustion. More incomplete combustion produces more blowby gases. More blowby gases contaminate the engine oil with combustion residue, unburned hydrocarbons, and acids formed when those byproducts react with the oil's chemistry at operating temperature. The engine oil that is supposed to last 7,500 miles in a clean combustion environment is processing a heavier contamination load in an engine running low detergent fuel. Its additive package, the detergents, dispersants, anti-wear agents, and antioxidants that protect the engine, depletes faster under that load. The independent lubricants community at Bob is the Oil Guy, where petroleum engineers and used oil analysis practitioners compare oil samples from real engines at real drain intervals, has documented this pattern across thousands of submissions. Members who track used oil analysis for the same vehicle across periods of top-tier and non-top-tier fuel use consistently report higher blowby contamination markers during non-top-tier fuel periods, specifically elevated silicon content and higher fuel dilution indicators in the oil sample. The oil is carrying evidence of what the fuel did to the combustion chamber. The evidence accumulates over tens of thousands of miles, even when no individual data point looks catastrophic. This is where the engine oil you choose becomes the direct response to the fuel quality decisions you have already made. Pennzoil Ultra Platinum's testing using the Sequence 3H benchmark, the standardized industry test for piston cleanliness and deposit control, shows pistons kept up to 65% cleaner than the minimum industry standard. That number represents the oil's detergent and dispersant chemistry at work on the combustion residue that reaches the crankcase through blowby. In an engine running top-tier fuel consistently, that chemistry maintains a clean engine environment from a low contamination baseline. In an engine that has been running non-top-tier fuel, that chemistry is absorbing a heavier contamination load, and the PurePlus base stock's starting purity gives Pennzoil Ultra Platinum more additive headroom to do that work effectively throughout the drain interval. The connection between the fuel and the oil is not a marketing angle. It is the same engineering logic that explains why Shell, which owns Pennzoil, is also a licensed top-tier fuel retailer. The same parent company that produces Pennzoil Ultra Platinum from natural gas through a gas-to-liquids process also produces Shell Regular and Shell V-Power gasoline at the top-tier detergent standard. The combination of top-tier fuel and Pennzoil Ultra Platinum creates a mutually reinforcing engine cleanliness system. The fuel prevents deposits from forming in the combustion chamber, and the oil handles the residue that makes it to the crankcase regardless. Neither product substitutes for the other. Both together represent the fullest practical protection for a street-driven engine at real-world use intervals. Here is a decision framework based on the actual choices drivers face. If your vehicle specifies regular 87 octane, the fuel quality question is entirely about top-tier detergent certification, not octane grade. Every time you fill up at a non-top-tier station, you are running the engine with less detergent than Toyota, Honda, and BMW determined as necessary for long-term protection. The correction is simple. Check toptiergas.com for the current certified brand list and choose a top-tier station when one is available. Shell, Chevron, BP, Exxon, Mobil, and Costco are all top-tier certified at every grade. The price difference between a top-tier regular and a non-top-tier regular at comparable stations is typically a few cents per gallon, a cost that does not survive comparison to even a single intake valve cleaning service. If your vehicle specifies premium 91 or 93 octane, octane is now a real issue alongside detergent quality. Modern vehicles with NOx sensors will detect under-octane combustion and retard ignition timing to compensate, which protects the engine in the short term but reduces power and efficiency. Chronic use of regular fuel in a premium required engine over tens of thousands of miles causes cumulative wear on combustion chamber components as the timing compensation works against the engine's calibration. Use the grade the manufacturer requires, and use it from a top-tier retailer because the detergent distinction applies to premium grades exactly as it applies to regular. If you have been using whatever station is cheapest or closest without checking top-tier certification, this is the most common version of the cheap gas problem across America. The correction does not require switching to a different vehicle or paying for premium. It requires knowing which stations near you are top-tier certified and defaulting to those. TopTierGas.com maintains the current list, and it takes under a minute to check. If you have been running non-top-tier fuel in the same vehicle for years, and the engine has accumulated significant deposit buildup, the most complete corrective path involves 3 steps. First, an intake valve cleaning service, either through a top engine cleaner treatment or a direct mechanical cleaning, depending on how severe the buildup is and whether the engine uses gasoline direct injection. Second, a switch to top-tier fuel going forward to stop adding to the deposit load. Third, Pennzoil Ultra Platinum as the engine oil going forward because its detergent and dispersant chemistry will handle the residual contamination that the cleaning service and top-tier switch leave behind. And its Pure Plus base stock maintains effectiveness under that heavier-than-ideal starting condition. If you already use top-tier fuel consistently, the fuel quality chain is largely in your favor. The engine oil question still matters because top-tier fuel cannot fully prevent blowby. Some combustion residue reaches the crankcase regardless of fuel quality because blowby is a function of piston ring fit and combustion physics, not just fuel detergent content. The oil's detergent and dispersant chemistry handles what gets through. Pennzoil Ultra Platinum's 65% piston cleanliness advantage over the minimum industry standard means the oil is doing that work effectively even in the absence of elevated contamination from cheap fuel. Cheap gas does not kill engines immediately. It kills them at a documented rate, 19 times the deposit accumulation over 4,000 miles, compared to quality fuel according to the American Automobile Association study. The deposits reduce airflow, disrupt fuel injection, cause incomplete combustion, send more blowby into the oil, deplete the oil's additive package faster, and over tens of thousands of miles show up as the rough idle cold start misfire and a $500 to $1,200 intake valve cleaning invoice that the driver never connected to the cheap fill-up that started the chain years earlier. The gas that costs a few cents less at an uncertified station is not the bargain it prices itself as. The automakers who built your engine and who created the top-tier standard specifically because the federal minimum was not enough, knew that before you filled the tank. The engine running underneath that decision is either protected against it or paying for it. The choice is made at the pump and then again at every oil change.